Department Head of Diplomacy, Clayson Monyela. Clayson, good to have you, and thank you very much for your time tonight here on News at Prime. I understand you're saying this is a private company arrangement that they had arranged for its employees, and you were not initially involved in this. What's the arrangement when a private company seeks to evacuate its employees?
Yeah, and thanks for having us on your platform. We're always encouraged that even if it's a private company that is making arrangements to get their employees out of a situation like the one that's currently unfolding in Sudan, it's always helpful to inform government, even if you don't think you need us, because situations like this always arise, like the one that we're dealing with, where they get to Egypt and they are being refused permission to disembark their boat or get off the boat because there are clearances that are required. We were now contacted because people are now stuck. Although initially when they planned and made arrangements, they didn't inform us, they didn't involve us, but because these are South African nationals, we've now activated our team in Cairo at the South African Embassy. As Dr. Suleiman was saying, we are now dealing with this matter. We've written notes about, we're engaging with our counterparts at the Foreign Ministry in Egypt to secure these necessary clearances so that our nationals can be allowed to get off the boat and catch a flight in Cairo and come home safely, like the ones that we safely evacuated who you saw arriving yesterday.
Yeah. We saw 51, we're hearing 22. Are we going to likely hear that 30 more? Is there a way in which we know as a country for sure how many South Africans are in Sudan and whether or not we have addressed all of them?
No, we don't believe there is any other South African nationals still stuck in Sudan. Even the ones, the 22 that we're talking about, are not stuck in Sudan. They're in Egypt. They're unable to get off this ferry that they used to get there because there are clearances that are required by the National Security Agency in Egypt. And this is why government has now been called upon to intervene and talk to our counterparts to get them cleared so that they can get off the boat. As far as we know, in terms of the database, we had verified South African nationals that were in Sudan. All of them are accounted for and out of Sudan. This group, as I say, this was a private employer, getting their people out through their own arrangements. And I guess they didn't think they would need government at any point in their journey. So,
I'm confused there. So you didn't know of these 22 that they were in Sudan? You only knew of the 51 that you had?
No, Thabo. So if you follow what we've been saying all along, yesterday we had 53, in fact, people arriving. 2 were not our nationals, one Zimbabwean, one Lesotho, as in the Lesotho national. The day before yesterday, you had 10 arriving. The day before that, there was another group that arrived. So at the time when you had us responding to the fighting that had broken out in Sudan, we're talking about 77 verified South African nationals. This information about this 22, if you listen to the message from Gift of the Givers who were first contacted, they're talking about a group that's working for a private company near Port Sudan, and this private company made arrangements and didn't involve us. So they wouldn't have been on our database because I guess this employer thought, they could manage this without involving us.
Right. No, that's exactly what I'm asking, because it does seem then that means you were working on a particular database that did not include this 22. I'm just wondering, is there a way, what's the process of really knowing via Dirk or via Home Affairs the exact number of South Africans who are in Sudan, so that tomorrow, again, you're not surprised that it does turn out there was another company that took 15 there and they were not in your database?
Yeah, so if we broaden that and not make it about Sudan, this is why you hear government always making the point that if you are going to be traveling to a country outside of South Africa, whether it's on business, whether you're going there for studies, or whether you are just going for holiday, it's always helpful to inform the Department of International Relations and Cooperation. If you don't do that in Pretoria, when you get to your destination, find out if there's an embassy, let them know, just in case you are in a situation of distress and we need to locate you and help you. We will never know that you are in a foreign country if you don't inform us. And unfortunately, in many cases, people always think of us when they are in trouble and require government assistance and intervention. So we always make that call, and we hope that at some point, people will realize the importance of us knowing where you are so that we can help you in case you need it.
So as far as South Africa is concerned at this point, except for these 22 who you are now making arrangements for in Egypt, we will be not sending any more planes to Sudan to bring back any more South Africans?
No, absolutely not. And this is why if you listen to our conversation, we always qualify the statement with as far as we know, because people pop up in all sorts of corners. And if we didn't know that you were there, once we know, of course, then we're able to come in and help you. But as far as we know, right now, as we speak today, all South Africans that we have on our database are out of Sudan and out of harm's way.
Let's talk a little bit about the clearances that are required. Is it because these individuals lost their documents? What is the nature of the clearance that they require from you as far as Egypt officials are concerned?
Yeah, so even with the group that arrived yesterday, there were nationals of ours who had left their travel documents in Sudan, because obviously people left in a hurry. You're talking about a country where there's fighting and, people couldn't pack everything. Once we got them to the border with Egypt, we had to, through our embassy in Cairo in Egypt, secure, or rather print, in fact, in conjunction with Home Affairs, temporary travel documents. In fact, they are called certificates. Because you can't cross into a foreign country without documentation. You become an undocumented foreign national. It's illegal to do that. So there's no country that will allow you to do that. So even in this case, if there are nationals in this group that don't have travel documents, it means we must help them with that and make sure that everybody is cleared and verified. And then the authorities in Egypt will allow them to disembark, and then their flight secured through their employer, we are informed. So they'll be able to fly from Cairo and come back home.
I appreciate your time, Clayson. Thanks so much for coming on. DIRCO's head of diplomacy there, Clayson Monyela.